when you get to that point of succeeding, it's just is like it's like a huge dopamine hit. Like you're just like on cloud nine, like you've never felt better.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So welcome to Entrepreneurs and Leaders, and today we have a founder. His name is Jake, and he's the founder of Ciccarelli Public Relations. And Jake, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make a great public relations campaign?
Yes. I mean, I would say, the first thing is the founder. You know what I mean? To being the founder, you have to have a really strong background. And I would say the first step, even for a founder, would be to just get that education, whether that's, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, an associate's degree, just getting that education behind you and kind of learning the academic parts of things is going to be extremely, extremely helpful because, the real world experience and the academic experience, depending where you get your degree and education from, they can really coincide with one another. And then, my next point to that is always building a great network. Talk to journalists, talk to other PR professionals. You don't know who you know that knows somebody, is what I like to say. Your person you're sitting next to somewhere at an event, they might know someone that you have no idea that they know. And that's going to be super, super important to your campaign and just to you being a PR professional overall. And, my next point here is going to be taking feedback seriously, in that sorts of things. So when you build that network and you actually ask people for feedback, take that feedback in, take it seriously, and really apply it to your campaign and apply it to your work that you're working on here. And then, of course, staying on top of trends is going to be so, so, so important. You want all your work in your campaign, in and out of it, to be super relevant to the journalists, to people in the media. So you don't want to, talk to someone like, let's say we have the election coming up, right? You don't want to talk about the Olympics anymore because the Olympics have already passed. Now the news cycle is already onto the election. What's Trump talking about? What's Harris talking about? And these sorts of things. And how does your client or your campaign really fit into that? And then, number 5 is going to be continuing to build your skills throughout your campaign process and just throughout your career trajectory as a public relations professional by stepping out of your comfort zone. Let's say you focus on consumer brands and someone in tech approaches you for something, or, you have 2 clients. How do you kind of marry those clients to then pitch a story to a journalist and, do something effective in the news cycle? So those are my first 5 steps, I would say, to that process.
Brilliant, I love this. So Jake, tell us why you decide to become your own, to start your own agency.
I'm sure a lot of people say, to be their own boss. Of course, a lot of people probably say I started my own agency or my own business just to be my own boss. But I also saw that there was a gap here in the PR market. A lot of places and a lot of agencies and freelancers, they say they work with startups and they help them get the product out there, right? But then you're kind of left with the founder who's maybe giving a quote and these sorts of things, but what has the founder gotten as far as press? And for startups, they're fundraising. They're going out there, they're asking strangers for hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, right? And I think there's this huge gap here where entrepreneurs and startup founders don't have a credibility themselves, but their product might. So when investors are Googling that founder or researching them, they want to see, this founder is an expert in this
Absolutely.
space. So that's the kind of gap that I
Understand.
identified there with my agency.
I mean, the gap is there for sure.
Yeah,
Because let's face it, when it's in the tech space, in the technology space, people develop the product, okay,
hmm
but nobody knows them. Nobody knows who they are.
Yes,
They don't have any credibility. So an article in a newspaper, in a magazine, you can leverage the credibility of that publication. And this for a startup, it looks really good it help them to give them more credibility to find funding, but also clients as well.
exactly.
With PR, if is being used effectively and really powerful, I believe that is one of the But the most cost-effective way
For
of
sure.
tech startups to find the first client, which is a nightmare, is the most difficult thing on earth, is
Yeah.
for a tech entrepreneur to find the first client. When
Hmm.
nobody knows them, the product is not even finished yet. There are only few people, uh,
Right.
but if they use PR effectively with very little resources, they can go ahead and, when they find the first, the second, and the third client, then you keep doing the PR, and then you can find the funding because now you have the clients and you have the authority and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, the gap is definitely there. So um so basically, yeah, you want to specialize on that in help tech entrepreneurs to find the first client and the first investor to give them credibility. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say any industry too, whether
Not
it's
only
tech or
technology, could
whatnot.
be in
Yeah.
a startup in general, right? Because
Yeah,
everybody's facing exactly the same problem.
exactly.
I
And
mean,
I would
that's
say
the main reason why it's an startups in the first place, because nobody knows them because they don't have credibility. If they will
exactly.
have credibility, they're not gonna be in a startup. They will be selling millions and then
And that founder really needs that credibility because, when they're talking to investors and asking someone for 100 grand,
absolutely.
200 grand, they want to see this person's an expert and this person's taken seriously and respected in their space. And I think it was Bill Gates that said it. He said, if I had my last dollar, I would spend it on PR. I think that's what he said. And if don't quote me, but you can maybe 90 quote me, I'm sure there. And reading that, I was like, there's these billionaires who really understand the value of PR. People who have had nothing and built something, who understand that value and how it can get you to billionaire, millionaire status, as an individual.
I mean, and let's face it, obviously, I invested in the company. We went to the games development conference, GDC, and yeah, if you have resources, but it's gonna cost you 30K, 50K
Yeah.
to go to those exhibitions. And
Hmm.
if you are starting the company and you have low resources and you cannot afford something like that with a very low budget, with the PR, with the, like you said, in the right, assuming that is the right publication with the right audience. And that's why people should work with an agency like yours, so someone that specializes in point them in that direction, because it's not just, oh, I'm gonna use PR and throw the money. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
You need to find an expert like you who can actually point you in the right direction. Okay, this is the most affordable price for you. We're gonna pitch you this story to this magazine. We believe that you have a chance here. This magazine have your audience out there. So if a piece of you goes to that magazine, that's gonna lead you to find your first client, and like kind of design a strategy. Okay,
Hmm.
because I'm aware of the power, how powerful it is. And
Hmm.
we use in our business, we do a big gala in London. We call it Luxury Business Awards. And we do a lot of PR around our award ceremony. So we understand how powerful it is. And
Hmm.
and and all the awardees, they appear in press releases and raise the level of expertise, credibility, and recognition of all these people that receive the award, that me and my partner Lily give them personally. So we are aware of the power, and also that is not as expensive as other ways to
Right.
find your first client and to find things. And I think when I say not expensive, it's because um, when nobody knows you and you need credibility, it is you have to pick what is the most cost effective, because everywhere you're gonna go, it's gonna cost money.
Right.
If you're gonna build your social media and do the followings in whatever Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and build that community and create content, this has a cost. People say, "Well, this is free." Well, it's not free, because you do have to create the content. Somebody has to create that content. That content takes time, and if you don't know how to create it, nobody's gonna follow you, and you're gonna waste a year of your life. So, if you're
Yeah.
good at that, you can do it. But if you're not, you have to make sure. And in that spectrum, we strongly recommend startup founders to actually talk with an expert like you in PR that can actually guide them in the right direction and design a plan cost effective for the, okay, you know what, let's point in this
Sure.
magazine and this magazine. Once you find the client, we can expand the strategy and we can do more and more. So Jake, so you wanted to decide to start your own company because you want to help people and you want to be your own boss. So the sectors that you retail, tech, any more sector that you prefer to work with? Tell us.
Yeah, I love the consumer brands, of course. That's, that kind of retail
Direct
aspect
to
there.
consumer, yeah.
Yeah, tech is great. I just love something that actually is disruptive because there's a lot of companies out there that say,
Absolutely.
I'm doing this disruptive thing and I'm doing this thing that's really different. Then when you really look at their competitors in that kind of field, it's like an oversaturated market, right? But it's like when someone's kind of like, I always reference like this, like one thing that I heard this one time. It was like, there's these people who have these really, really great ideas, but they're like in like a speck compared to everything else in this kind of startup universe, right? And they're screaming and no one can hear them. But the publicist is the person there, kind of with the microphone, handing it to them, helping them blast their message out. It's like you're staying there and you're this little guy among all these big beasts in this industry, but you're really doing something that's really cool, but no one will listen to you because all of them are crowding this kind of news cycle. You got to hire the publicist to help you get your voice out there. But, I would say anyone who has an expertise or just has a purpose to share, is my main thing here is I want to help people not only, discover what they're good at and their purpose, but also share that purpose with other people. So, I've worked with life coaches and mental health professionals as well, helping them share their message. It's a really great thing and it feels good because when it reaches the right person, that might have been someone's reason to maybe seek the therapy they've been needing or something resonates with someone, they
Absolutely.
feel they're not alone. So, to answer your question, I guess in a shorter way now that I've done my long way is anyone really who's doing some disruptive and can change someone's life.
So tell us about this passion for PR. How come you love it so much? Where did you learn how to do this?
I know. So it was kind of crazy. First, I grew up wanting to be a broadcast journalist. I wanted to be on TV.
Wow, you want to be in the broadcast
I did.
broadcast. Yeah.
I did. I wanted to sit there. I wanted to read the
Well, there is no way
teleprompter.
time for you, yeah.
I know. I'm like, you never know. It could always be a career change.
You should start your podcast for you.
Yeah,
A PR podcast. Why no? If that's your dream.
exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
I knew I wanted to do something where messages reached people.
Okay, amplify messages. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, amplify messages. But then I was doing a college tour when I was looking at schools, and I actually was touring Syracuse University, which is in my hometown. I'm from Syracuse, New York. And I saw that public relations, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
what does that mean? What is this? And, because PR is not a big thing in upstate New York. It's not a big city like, New York City or LA or Miami or even like Austin or San Antonio, it's kind of like middle-sized big cities. We don't have a lot of PR here from what I know. It's not a well-known thing. And I was like, wait, I can work with someone who has something really cool to share, help them create a really cool message and then pitch that to someone else, and then they read it and they tell people about it. I feel like the middleman there.
Yeah.
And making that connection just is really, really special to me. And I would say, one of the keys to success in learning this is building a network and relying on that network. Leveraging LinkedIn, leveraging networking opportunities. If you're in a space where there are networking opportunities, do it. It's not weird to reach out to people on LinkedIn. People will respond, even though the first 100 maybe won't. The 101st person will.
Absolutely.
And those sorts of things I think are really, really important. And my journey is really about just kind of trying it, failing, see what went wrong, asking for feedback, fixing it, going back and getting back up again and trying until it works, until it succeeds. And when you get to that point of succeeding, it's just it's like a huge dopamine hit. Like you're just like on cloud 9, like you've never felt better.
Follow us for more interviews with the world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.